I'm joined here today by the CEO of FIDE, Emil Sutovsky. Hello, Emil.
Hi, Sagar.
Emil, good to see you. And you are right now traveling. You are on the road,
Yes, indeed, I'm in Cyprus.
and that's I can imagine that you are in Cyprus for the preparation for the huge event that's coming up, the FIDE Candidates 2026. Maybe it's a good place to begin. How are the preparations going?
It's going quite smooth. Obviously, it's very busy time. We have what it is, 6 weeks to start, and it's a lot of things which are being taken care of. But the expectations are high, and I think we will deliver something exceptional as we intend to. And candidates is something that everybody looks up to. So I hope we are in time to implement all the plans, and the plans are quite ambitious. It's my third visit already in
Oh.
Cyprus for the event. First time I came when I was inspecting it when the proposal to host it in Cyprus came up. And I visited the place. I saw the venue. I saw how could it be suitable for players, for fans, for media, and so on. The second time was already working inspection with the FIDE team, FIDE operational team, and we planned a lot of technical issues, and it was massively important to basically have all the important points addressed not only from our side but from our Cyprus counterparts here. And the third visit is just now to make sure that the preparation runs smoothly, that we are starting already to produce everything which needed for the final implementation of the big event. Once again, it's not only about the tournament itself, although it's most important, but also what surrounds it.
Yeah, I'm very curious to know more about it. But firstly, I wanted to ask you, how did you select Cyprus as the venue? How did it come about?
We had several options on the table, and we were obviously considering uh, cons and pros. And the proposal from Cyprus was exceptional in a way how the whole arrangement around tournament would be. Because the tournament is more than 3 weeks long. I mean, players stay here for more than 3 weeks. The tournament itself is 18 days, but with 14 or 15 playing days and several rest days. But the issue is that if you stay at such a event for a long time, you want also to provide players with utmost care, with all the ability to provide both facilities and also surroundings, which would enable them to restore, recharge, and go forward, showing their best in the tournament. At the same time, we needed a place where we can invite media, where they could be well positioned to cover the event. The fan zone is important, and the Cap St. George, the hotel and resort, is unique in this way. I mean, obviously, we hosted in big cities, and big cities have their flavor and advantages, like London, Madrid. We had the candidates there. But this time around, when the proposal came, we saw how also how important this was a local for the hosts to make something big. And it's not only the owners of hotel; it's just the community here in general. And the event, for example, we already got a confirmation from the president's office that he will be attending the opening ceremony of
Oh,
the event, the
the
president of the
president of
country.
Cyprus.
Yes,
Wow.
yes. Yeah, and it is a good place, to host, because we always try to rotate and have our events in various places. Cyprus hosted and successfully hosted women Grand Prix, but never event of say like candidates or the kind. So it seemed like the best option. Everything adjusted and weighed in, so it it felt that it would be a great place. And once again, I think the only uh, uh, previous candidates which comes into comparison in this regards is Curacao 1962.
Hmm.
But it's much closer. You don't have to. You don't for most of the players. You don't have to travel that far, and it's convenient for media. And we already have
Why do you compare it
dozens of.
to Kurasov, this one?
Uh, because Curacao is was also the type of an event not in a big city,
Hmm.
in a place in a nice place surrounded by sea. So it's also an island. So here's the same with Cyprus in this regards, but it's also convenient and very convenient for many people to arrive here because there are direct flights to both to Paphos, which is basically where the event is, and also to Larnaca. So we already have uh, dozens of journalist inquiries, including the all the many of the mainstream media coming and growing interest from various countries. For example, Germans are much more interested this time, obviously, because they have now a player, and but also other countries. We see this rise of interest from Turkey, from Vietnam, from countries which are really, let's say, expecting to see their players be somewhere in the top events, even not in this one.
Yeah, I see that chess is kind of becoming more and more global with young talents coming up from different places, and I think a big role for that has been played by FIDE because of the World Youth Championships and other events which happen across the globe. Emil, I wanted to get your thoughts on this subject as a player. You yourself are a very strong player, a grandmaster. So these are the 8 players in the candidates who are going to fight it out, and I would love if you could break it down from your perspective to say like who do you think? I mean, not as the FIDE CEO, but as just a chess fan.
Yeah, that's always the problem. That's always, quite sensitive. And in our uh, crazy times, whenever you express some opinion, you is immediately start finding, you cannot be supportive. If you say somebody has chances, then you subconsciously want him to win, and then you are. I wouldn't probably make this tier 1, tier 2, like everyone makes it, but I would just say that. Let's say, the chances of younger players in this event are a bit underestimated. Let's put it this way.
And that
I want to be
means,
I want to be extremely, let's say, diplomatic about that. So we yeah, in a way, it's I think we will have a very, very um, close run and a lot of decisive games. I think that maybe it would be highest percentage of decided games for a long time. I haven't made the stats, but let's say previously, if the number of decided games were high, it was due to some players who played really bad tournament.
hmm,
Let's say like in London, for example, where Ivanchuk had this huge minus and Rajabov had a huge minus, and that's why the number of the decided games was quite high. Here, I don't think anybody will score below -2, maybe -3. That's it, but not lower. But still, there will be a lot of decided games. I would say close to 50%.
hmm. Are you surprised with the fact that like for example, Hikaru is giving so much importance to this event? Like he's playing almost nothing right now, preparing seriously for the candidates. It might be a huge event for him.
No, it's not surprising because candidates is a very important tournament. I remember even Hikaru taking a strategic draw versus Arjun in Norwich, yes, just to make sure that his rating margin, I mean, and Arjun was closest to him in running for the Elo spot, would remain as big and not taking any risks. So already back then, he clearly stated that that was clear priority for him. So no, it's not surprising at all. I don't know how heavily he prepares, but I think for any player, candidates is a special event. But for Hikaru in particular, he's what he said turned 39 this year, if I remember correctly, and it's not very likely that he would play another candidate. I mean, it's still possible. No way to write off any of the top players at such age, but all his rhetorics and so on suggest that it's not very likely. It's mostly not for the age, but mostly for his for the way he takes classical chess and his rhetorics about that. So I think it very well might be that it's his last candidate.
I'm here in Weisenhaus, and yesterday we had the media day, and I interviewed all the players and asked them for their top pick, and almost everyone chose Fabiano Caruana. Everyone was like he is the favorite for them, and I was actually quite surprised that many of the players were like looking at him as the absolute. Of course he is one of the favorites, but like it was sort of unanimous in a way.
Well, Fabi has a unique mix of being still rather young, but extremely experienced and very top player. Let's say, okay, he's second rated in this event, but rating wise, it's very difficult to know what's Hikaru's strengths nowadays because he plays. He played so little chess, not only in previous months, but in general, he plays very few tournaments for many years now. So, and Fabi plays a lot. He confirms his level, which is around 2800, and he keeps this level. Um, so it is not surprising at all. And what's more important, even a part of the rating, is a proven ability to win top tournaments. Nobody won as many top events. I'm not talking about Magnus in this candidate as Fabi. If you ask already, if I start counting, it's probably that Fabi won more top events than all other participants combined, including Hikaru.
Interesting.
Just think about it. I mean, super tournaments. I mean, Fabi won a dozen of absolutely top events, and for others, maybe three or four for Hikaru, one or two for Anish, and the younger guys. Okay, Wei won once in the wake and so on. So Fabi has like a record of winning. He has more top events than anybody, and probably more than everybody combined in this event. So it's no surprise. But there are other factors. I mean, Fabi is also not the Fabi he was in 2016 or 18. I mean, things are changing, and yes, he is a favorite, and I think in all the forecasts he would be marked as a favorite. But let's say there are many factors in these events. I remember, for example, Levon Aronian came to candidates for several times as a candidate, as a favorite, and only once was really in contention. Fabi has a better record, of course. He won once. He was very close in Toronto. He was quite close. People forget about it. He was quite close in Moscow. By that time, FIDE, it was under previous leadership, and the system was, I think, quite strange that they, in a round robin event in candidates, if they scored equal number of points, there was no tiebreak, which is strange for round robin. I mean, for Swiss, it's normal for to have a tiebreak based on average of your opponents because you essentially play different tournaments. But for round robin, when you play the same opponents, it's quite strange not to have a playoff. And then in the last round, he was facing Karyakin, and they had equal number of points, but Fabi had to play on win with black because draw would not suffice. So Fabi has a very good record, and it's obvious that mathematically and uh, generally he's the one with uh, most people choosing as a top pick. But once again, difficult tournament, a lot of stress, a lot of factors, a lot of energy required. We saw how Kukesh, let's say, impressed everyone and surprised everyone in Toronto. And let's say somebody like Sindarov in this tournament, which is in a way reminding of Gukesh in a way of his play, his appeal, and so on. Also has chances to because you need to score big also and so on. I think one another reason why Caruana is picked by many because simply he is liked by many. I think if you make a popularity contest among the top players about the top players, I mean he would be the easy winner because he is always comes as very thoughtful, very deep, very how would I say chess player. Let's put it this way.
Amazing.
So that's one of the reasons. But will it be enough to win the tournament? Not sure.
And we also have the women's candidates that will be happening alongside it, and it'll be also super exciting. We have players from many different countries here. What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, we actually don't have players from many countries. We have only actually in men we have, but in women we have.
Mm.
Uh, it is if Druzhin are gonna play like she played last year, she is like a very strong favorite. People do not follow a lot of women chess and often are hyped about some result, some tweets and so on. And as we know, let's say Chinese community is not very proactive, and Chinese players rarely have their accounts and rarely. But if you just take a look at her games, Georgina, in the last year, she was clearly the strongest women player in the world.
Mm.
I mean, including Hui Fan and Zhu Wenjun. So the question, what it was it sometimes this meteoric rise is not is of temporary, mm, let's say, matter, and it doesn't last years, right? I think for Georgina it was a lot of blessings that she got in the last moment in the women's Grand Prix. Many do not know, but she didn't qualify by rating to the women's Grand Prix, and only after Lei Tingjie dropped out, she got to women's Grand Prix and never looked back. I mean, she had absolutely tremendous year. So if she manages to keep that form, she's a favorite and clear favorite in my opinion.
Got it.
Otherwise, all of the contenders are very strong, and all of them will win several games. I think even the one who will finish last will win at least 2 games,
Mm.
maybe even 3. They're all very, um, how would I say, in a good way, aggressive players. So, and I think women's competition will be very exciting, and also it will be in a way clash of generations here because we see players of the older generation like Lagno or Tang or Hampi. And then we have youngsters, newcomers. I mean, for Vaishali, it would be already second candidates. For Divi, it would be the first. For Georgina, it would be the first. For Vivisaru, it would be the first. And then we have Goryachkina, who is, who had, actually comparing to Georgina, who had a fantastic breakthrough in year, let's say what it was, 2019, and 2020 maybe, and she competed very well on par with Ju in June in the match when she was so young. then something happened, and Grechkina stumbled, and she didn't really compete for first place in the last candidates, although she was one of the favorites. But she is a player, let's say, if to have everyone ranked, I would say that for me, she is for sure a player who will be in top three,
Mm.
no matter what. But enough to win, not sure.
Interesting takes there, Emil. I would like to move on to something else here. Right now, there is the FIDE Freestyle Chess World Championship beginning from today in Weissenhaus, Germany. A very exciting event with 8 players. What are your feelings about it?
It's very good the fact that we started to cooperate. It's I think we shouldn't have had this, let's say, war altogether at the beginning, and we never intended to. And I'm happy that at some point Henrik Bittner and maybe Magnus they realize that it's running the whole series without FIDE maybe a nice attempt, but in order to have a status, it has to be officially recognized. And as I told you, we never were against this project, and we never wanted it to discontinue or something. The only thing that as FIDE we must insist that all the events which are having the World Championship name into to it are approved and made in cooperation with FIDE, simply because otherwise it would lead to total chaos. Uh, don't forget, we as FIDE have to raise so many funds and so many hosts to host the most important competitions of the chess calendar, and if this sort of chaos starts like it was in 1990s and in 2000s as well, it would damage everyone. Not that it would damage FIDE. FIDE couldn't do it or something. FIDE would do it, but actually everybody would suffer. And in the long run, if you can compare the situation which was, let's say, 15 years ago or 20 years ago and to now, chess players are the main benefactors of FIDE's work because there are many more events, much higher prize funds. There are many more players who get a chance to play. You mentioned earlier on this call about all these youth competitions and all the, let's say, events which are leading to the top events at the end of the day. And it's indeed that's how FIDE works. I mean, it's we ensure that there is a path from very childhood to the top professional chess, and it's very important to have FIDE in this position because private organizers, of course, when they appear, they would appear with fantastic conditions. Otherwise, they would not be appealing to the top players. But the problem is sustainability, and nobody apart of FIDE can ensure it. And players know that today they have the I don't know, freestyle series, Grand Slam, or whatever. But next year maybe they would not have. As for FIDE events, they know that they will have the World Championship, the candidates, the World Cup, the Grand Swiss, and now the Total Championship. So there is a lot of things which we are in charge of and we are responsible for. It's not like we are just gatekeepers and only us. We have to deliver, but in order to deliver, we have to preserve this unity. And but I'm happy that at the end of the day that this situation came to where it came, and Jan Henrik Bittner also recognized the fact, and he got in touch with Arkady Dvorkovich. And Arkady, to his credit, he was he was offended by some of the attacks and leaking of the private messages a year ago and so on. But contrary to me, he's a wise man, and he took it very calmly. And he's not okay. He's a politician, and being diplomatic and easily, let's say, recouping all these bad feelings is very important trait. I'm only learning.
Very interesting. And talking about more and more events happening, we see that there are a lot of good things happening, more opportunities, more prize money. But there are also certain things like the clash in calendar that's happening, and it's quite a major one that's happening in a couple of months from, I mean, in August basically. This is the EWC, the eSports World Cup, and the Grand Chess Tour that are clashing, and both have like really, really good players playing, and players want to play each other. That was an open letter that was written by top players, MVL, Prague, I think, Levon, and so on.
Yes, that is obviously misfortunate because even in when we had some tense relationship, we always made sure that with anyone that FIDE events are not clashing with any other important events. Not with Wike, not with Norway Chess, not with Grand Chess Tour, not with the freestyle when it appeared. Although we were not happy about the way the relationship went, but we made sure that players do not suffer because it's not good for anyone. I mean, you don't have best players, and best players cannot participate in this lucrative event. So it's no good. And important thing here is to understand what exactly happened. And here's important point and hot take. Our chess society is very often not being able to talk openly about the issues. The only open issues which are talking all over the place when FIDE does something wrong or allegedly does something wrong. Then everybody can open their mouth and say how bad we are. And otherwise, because they know anyways, they can criticize us, but still there will be a competition. They will be invited. It's nothing will happen. And in these cases, I mean, if somebody starts criticizing one of the parts, he's risking not to be invited anymore. He's risking that somebody would flood their social media with all sort of attacks, and that's a problem. That's a very big problem of the chess world, and this one is only one of the symptoms. And I do not think that this clash was intentional, but I do think that too few efforts were made to avoid it. And I have to say that, look, Grand Chess Tour is a major series of tournaments, runs for so many years already. And August, for all these years, it was a month. Let's put it this way. We never even put FIDE event in the, let's say, only at the very beginning of August we did, because we knew that the second half of August and beginning of September is always booked for a Grand Chess Tour, and we had very good understanding and mutual cooperation, and we still have. I don't know what prompted a decision of EWC to have the event clashing, and it's not a long event. Let's think about it. EWC is a short event compared to the Grand Chess Tour. So let's say I don't know what were exact reasons, but we need to speak about them openly. Who was leading the negotiations with EWC as an organization to step up, whether it was chess.com, whether it was Danny, and to say, look, that was the situation. We offered such and such options. Unfortunately, they were not accepted. Why, who, and so on. But it must be addressed openly, because otherwise it remains like it doesn't look good. Also, it's not good for chess community, but also doesn't look good because we all know that there is a clash which never. I can't recall anything similar happening actually. And is it a decision which came out of the, let's say, position which Fabi actually expressed that, okay, we got Magnus, we got Hikaru, and we don't care about the rest. Maybe that was, but then let's have it, let's say, open dialogue about it. Too many things are, let's say, hidden from the public's perception and noise, and many people simply afraid to talk openly about it. Why? I mean, it shouldn't be like that, and top players are not somebody who should be shying away from raising questions. And kudos to Fabi for doing so.
Mhm. And maybe I hope they are able to find a solution out of this. But what are your thoughts on this eSports World Cup, which is like, it's the second year this time, and also they are going to do the eSports Nations Cup later this year as well.
First year was a fantastic show. I mean, it's I think by far best show product we had in chess as a show. More general question, whether chess itself should be striving to be a show. That's very different. And my answer is no. The component of show is very important and should be there, and it's great that we have EWC. But let's not mislead ourselves. The event was great only thanks to the fact that chess got into something very big as a part of these games. It's not like this is replicable at many levels throughout the year with these enormous prize funds and the level of coverage, professional broadcast team of a top TV level and so on. It is not replicable. And we see it was not made anywhere, and it only Saudis who are, investing into it, and good that they're doing so. But it's very difficult to expect it to be, let's say, in a mainstream chess activity for top players. But it's great that they have it. It's great that players have an opportunity to play and earn big money in this event, and it's also they're adding second event. I think it is on a smaller scale, but still it would be something quite important. And I'm sure that as all the events in Saudi Arabia, they organize it on a high level and broadcast in a good way. So kudos for doing it. Whether it is the future of chess, like some say, okay, now it is a future of chess. No, it's not the future of chess. Come on, I'm inside all this, both raising funds, talking to people, talking to sponsors, talking to governments. Chess is valued not for its show qualities. It's great that we have an ability to pull it, but it's very difficult to imagine that events like that, or events like much smaller scale but still nice ones like chess.com had now in London. It's nice. It's a great show, but it's once a year, maybe twice a year thing for 2 3 days. Nobody would be talking about it like about candidates, what happened in 1953, or what happened in Fischer matches, or what happened like when Kasparov played Karpov, and so on and so forth. No, and it's very easy, today's world to neglect the past and to say, okay, these are boomers, they're still dreaming about 1953. No, the money in chess largely comes due to the fact that chess retains its tradition, its legacy, its history, its status throughout the years. That's why it's supported in educational systems in so many countries. That's why many countries, hosting countries, are vying to host big chess events. And top chess events today are, I'm talking about FIDE events, for example, booked already years in advance. Olympia 2030, we already have several candidates to host it in 2030. And it is clearly a reflection of chess and its status. So having few show events throughout the year is very fine, but let's say I do not see it anywhere close to replacing the chess we see and we know. Said that, there is no reason to aim at a clash or some sort of negativity towards these two events. I hope it's got it sorted out. I do feel that if it's not sorted out, at least I would expect chess.com, who is basically running it in together with Saudis, to clearly share why was it unavoidable clash. Why? I mean, imagine FIDE would have an event of the kind and said to Gran, sorry, we cannot, we have to clash with you. We need to explain why. We never do it, but if we had to, I mean, there must be a clear explanation what has happened. Why these 3 4 days cannot be, because we're talking about the final stage, right? I mean, there are some preliminaries, but preliminaries could be played because these players, most of them would not be engaged, I guess. Anyways, I hope it is resolved, but more importantly, for the sake of chess community and to avoid it for future events, and we see that there are more and more top chess events, there must be an open dialogue. There must be no holy cows of that you cannot discuss. You are afraid to ask. You are being attacked for questioning, and so on.
Right. And we move to another topic that I wanted to get your thoughts on. Quite a big development here. That is the Queen of Chess. That's the documentary on Judith's life that has come out on Netflix. You being someone who loves chess history immensely, have you already seen it, or are you planning to?
Yes, yes. Of course, I saw it once it was released immediately. I loved it because it's. I mean, I grew at that time. Judith is a year older than me, so I witnessed it, and I saw. I was present at some of the events which were showcased there. Obviously I know personally all the main heroes and heroines there. Judith is a legend, and Judith is really, really special. I, I, I mean, you cannot but not admire her. I mean, she's really exceptional in so many ways. What I liked also a lot that there was very few limited, not no, not the total lack, but there was no this false pretense about being someone which she wasn't being.
Mm.
I mean, a lot of these movies and a lot of this when we talk about some stars. Is that people are in business really know how it was, and it's selling to wider public something that wasn't quite like that. And here they managed to escape it, and I largely attribute it to Judith because she always was very fair about her chess career. She had a lot of opportunities when she grew up. It was a very difficult childhood till maybe age of 10 or 12. But then she was blessed to have so many, and she doesn't say that I was deprived of that. It was so difficult. It was all men around and so on. She actually thrived in this atmosphere, and I think it was very fair and candid show. Uh, there are some questions remaining, and once again, when I'm calling to open discussion, once again, we should ask ourselves, and we should think aloud and maybe discuss. We always say that Judith is so inspirational for many, and so on, and that is true. But why don't we have second Judith? Nobody came even close to explaining. Because if we need to delve into it, we need to ask uncomfortable question, which requires even more uncomfortable answers. And our society, unfortunately, is not ready for that. And in a close, I even remember discussing it with Judith herself. Um, what what happened? Why she was a top 10 player, top 8 player, but why we don't have any female player even close to that level for 10 years? Let's say Hu Yifan was the closest one to this level, and she was top 50 and maybe top 30 at one moment or something, maybe top 40. But first of all, it's not the same. And second, there is also huge margin between Hu Yifan and all the rest. Now, we need to ask ourselves what happens now. We need to ask ourselves maybe changes in the game, in the way chess today requires a lot of stamina, a lot of physical strength, a lot of traveling, prevents from today's women's best players to achieve anything similar, even to Hu Yifan's results, not to Judith. Why we don't answer and ask and answer these questions? Because they should be asked if we really want a solution. we talk a lot about the providing opportunities for female players, but a part of FIDE, Cairns Cup in St. Louis, and Norway Chess, very few do anything. Let's say Tata Steel India, they have the women's competition for several years now. And last year, St. Louis also introduced the special award for women players who would get overall GM title, and Irina Crush got the first one. And but it's important that it will be not only pinpointed some organizers or some. It should be either we feel it's important for a chess community to have more female players and hence introducing incentives, or we would never have second Judith Polgar or nothing even close to the records she had. But then let's not pretend that it's important. I mean, what I dislike is this hypocrisy when saying we have to do more, we have to remove all the barriers, and then we do not create a necessary environment. And FIDE is quite focused on that. And if you look at it, you remember we just spoke about the females candidates. What is one thing which unifying all the players from there? That all of them have a huge state support. Huge. Kazakhstan, Bibisara, has enjoyed the support from early childhood. Chinese players were trained and grown up with state-supported programs and so on. India had immense. I mean, Divya got I don't know, supported from her local government, state government, and national government, and sponsors and so on, more than I don't know a budget of average European chess federation. And that gives you an answer. So in female chess, unless you have a support and this very strong support from government and sponsors and so on, you probably cannot get very high. It's contrary to men's, because in men's chess you can start earning reasonable money, quite serious money at the early stage, and reinvest in yourself and so on. In women's chess, it's not like that. Also, the risk reward is different. In men's chess, you are investing in yourself, and then you start earning millions. In women's chess, it's very few. That's why I always said, and not only said, FIDE always, let's say, put it as one of the important priorities, to increase the prize funds, to increase the conditions, to improve, to make more events for female players, because they need to know that if they invest in themselves, if they try to make a career, they, at least if they succeed, they get really rewarded, and that's a problem. But not only that, obviously, we need to be frank in all these discussions, and people are not. Judith, great Judith, absolutely fantastic with. She was best in the world in every men and boys and girls, under 12, under 13, under 14 with her rating. But why she didn't make as far, I don't know, as Kramnik. Kramnik is 1 year older than Judith. And at some point she was high rated. Okay, maybe that's due to the fact that he was in Soviet Union and didn't play enough tournaments, but still, but there are many other players also can. So what happens, why at the age of 12 or 13 or 14, the same happened also to Hui Fan. There is a meteoric rise for women, for top women players, but why it stumbles around the age of 16, 17, 18 in many cases? Let's openly discuss it, because if we don't discuss it, we don't get fair answers. What should be the path for female player today? How they expect to compete? I mean, some people like make loud statements like, "We dream about one day women becoming overall chess champion," but all the facts testify that in recent years the probability of it keeps dropping. But why? Maybe something can be improved. Maybe we need some programs which would help to female players to let's say to rise to the level, at least to reestablish again the level in top 100, because it's nowhere close even now, right? So it is something that we need to address and talk about. Back to Judith. I mean, Shivers. I loved the movie. I loved the archives, the videos. I love how she talks about all the various points. It was quite subtle. It was obviously she doesn't need to fully expose herself, whether it is a family relationship with how her dad, let's say, make her playing chess and so on. But she gave a lot of hints and very good indications. And I think she is a role model. She is an absolute role model. I'm just sorry that very few are actually following this path for one reason or another. And when we say that there was some review saying that she absolutely changed the way uh, women chess looks like, it is partly true because she changed it in a way that she shows that there is no limitation for women not to be in top 10. But it also showed and was proven that 20 years passed, nobody came close, and actually it even now the chances are less than it was 20 years ago. And once again, candid talk is very important here, and all those who want to silence those who are questioning and putting emphasis on facts, it's important not to, let's say, not to be not to succumb under this pressure, but to keep asking ourselves and to keep creating the incentives for women players to play, and maybe one day we'll see another Judith emerging.
Right, and there are also some very interesting things that have happened in the last few days in the chess world. One very interesting thing that happened was uh, this youngster coming to the fore, Kaan Erdogmus. Um, he was, I mean, people have been talking about him for quite some time, but I believe you knew about him even before everyone started talking because he was part of your team in the World Rapid and Blitz Team Championship 2024. So he was at that point
Right.
maybe 13 years old. Um,
Hmm.
and
That's true. Yeah.
he's taking the world of chess by storm right now. Do you think like he has it in him to sort of just crash through everything that we've known about? Like people are saying maybe he's the one who could again do something that Magnus has been doing for so many years.
That's a difficult question. I think Magnus is a generational, once in a generation talent, but obviously there is a generation gap between him and Yagiz. Um, of course, Erdogmus is an incredible player, and it was not in case that I invited him to play for the team I captained in 2024. I spoke with Shah Mamedyarov back then, who worked with a kid, and he said, "Look, in Rapid and Blitz, the guy is already a Grandmaster level plus, and he was only 17. And obviously, he's a huge talent, and obviously, he has a huge potential. I do think that Magnus have been a bit too, let's say, I cannot find a word which would be an accurate description. Maybe complimentary now to, let's say, Magnus has a strange combination of greatness, candor, and misleading forecasts. He was talking about Firouzja's Alireza being like clear, indisputable player who only could compete with him. And you remember it was back in 2020, and we saw that it didn't happen. He spoke with again. It was with a candor. It's just many times the great players are poor forecasters. The same was for Kasparov, actually. The same was for Gelfand. I remember the historical Gelfand interview. It was in, I think, 1989 when he was on his rise, and he was like winning the GMA tournament, which included all the top stars, a part of Kasparov, Karpov. So he was on his rise to become number 3 in the world in 1990. And there was a big, long interview in New in Chess. Those who are interested could probably find it. And I don't recall exactly how it sounded, but it was something like that. He was asked about best non-Soviet young players. He said something. Well, Anand doesn't impress me. Of course, he's talented, but I don't think he will go very far. But I like how Ivan Sokolov and Hellers are playing. Now, Ivan Sokolov became a prominent player, top 20, but still nowhere close to Vishy. And Hellers, maybe some of you wouldn't know, he just became a strong grandmaster, but nothing more. And I think a part of Vishy, he also mentioned somebody who later became really, really top player, but also Gelfand was not impressed. And such a forecasts came from many players and were not very, let's say, justified. Magnus also was of a very high opinion of Faustino Oro a few days ago, and now he's of Erdogmus. I think all these guys are exceptional talents, but it's tad too early to claim they would be next Magnus or similar to that. It would be not difficult to expect or to forecast that both Erdogmus and Oro would make into top 10. That's for sure. Top 5, very likely. Because after all, if they're already best in this age group, so what will happen in 3 or 4 years? The generation who are much older than them, they will start fading away, and then for natural reasons they're best around this age. So it's natural to expect them by the year 2030 to be in top 5 for sure. But to be a dominating player like Magnus is very difficult feat. People do not appreciate it enough. I think Magnus has been really. I mean, in our times where everybody is armed with exactly same armory, we can have the best engines, we can have the best, I don't know, helpers, seconds, whatever you need to grow. And still he's still exceptional. And whether any one of this cohort mm, should be seen as next Magnus, it's a bit too early. But from these names, I will also add Andy Woodward. I like how he plays. I like very much his attitude. He's very devoted to the game. So I would surely think that both Erdogmus and Oro, but also Woodward belong to a top 10 list on for 2030. Let's put it this way.
Wow, very
Maybe,
interesting.
maybe earlier, of course, maybe earlier. But I mean, for we cannot know because let's not forget. Uh, it's also strange, It's something that has to do with nowadays social media. Everybody now suddenly forgot about Prague because a few months ago it was Prague, Prague. Everybody was exclaiming. You were, I don't know, 5 zillion of views on TikToks how he plays wonderful chess. Then he had a very bad month or two, or 3 tournaments, whatever, and suddenly everybody forgets about that, and now we have a new hero. It doesn't. Chess is not like that. I mean, chess has a long. It's a long path. Sometimes you have bad periods. Sometimes you recover. Sometimes, how many top players were written off and then reemerged back again during their career? Countless examples. I don't know. Even players like Magnus himself had some bad periods when he was even not clearly the first. And remember, he and Fabi were on par back in 2018, right? So they had 1 point rating difference, and there were players reemerge. Vichy. I mean, everybody keeps repeating, Vichy is there only because the rating system is outdated and so on. But take Vichy. Vichy now plays a couple of tournaments on with the youngsters and shows 2750 level very convincingly. One thing, actually, I was also another hot take from me. I mean, we already. I think one thing we badly, I would say, um, shamelessly have been putting ahead and forgetting is appreciation to the stars of the past. Chess had always this legacy. I mean, always. I don't know, Botvinnik, was it Tal, was it Kasparov, and so on, Lasker. These times, chess was famous that you have these legends. Yes, they may be aging, but you have respect to them. They still are strong players. They still continue playing and so on. I mean, take for comparison tennis, because tennis is what is tennis is chess in the movement. There is nothing more close to chess than tennis, and I follow a lot of tennis. It's a clash between the two. It's just you and your opponent. You know your plan. He know his game plan. You have to adapt. You have to go with a strategy. You have some matchups where some player who is much weaker for some reason keeps winning against the stronger player. The compatibility of styles very similar. I mean, you cannot think of the more similar sports than chess and tennis in this regards. Really, the tradition, like everything. But check tennis. I mean, players come, greatest players like Djokovic and so on. So they see somebody like Rod Laver, the star of 1960s, coming to the arena, and they always express their appreciation, their gratitude that they learn. Although the level between, I have to say, if you, I mean, the way guys played tennis in 1960s compared to today is much bigger difference than in chess. I mean, if you compare 1960s chess to today's chess, maybe the guys like, I don't know, Fischer in 1960s or Korchnoi or Spassky, okay, they would not be top players today, sure, but they would be still around. They would be maybe 2600 today, something like that. The way these guys play tennis 60 years ago was just, I mean, if you objective about it, it was ridiculously bad. And also compared to chess, also due to all sorts of equipment, because the rackets they played was different, the strings were different, the preparation was different, the way they recovered after the injuries was different. The same like in chess. But nobody says that, hey, you are, all. I don't know. I would not. We are online here, so I have to watch my mouth. So they do come with a lot of respect, right? And in chess, it's gone away. I mean, it's a lot. I even the Kasparov, the greatest players, and so on. They very often this like there has been there's some dinosaurs who have no meaning and who have no impact on the way the only is happening now. And now it's even on the smaller time frames, the heroes who are today 20 years old, 21, 22, the public is readily writes them off, and then you have a new hero who is today 14 or 15 or 13. It's not like that. Chess is has this the longevity is uh, really, I mean, till 40 at least, and like Aronian showed this year, it's much longer. Aronian had fantastic year, and let's not forget, Aronian is what 44 this year. And Magnus is also not a young boy, but he's still there. So when we talk about the young emerging stars, they're great. They have a huge potential, uh, but you have so many talented players who are 20, 21, 22, and it's I think it would not be for a benefit for anyone, including the guys who are promised such a great future, to say, okay, here's the next Magnus. Of course, public always looks for that, or always looking for some titles, Mozart of chess, or I don't know who. But the reality is that it is very difficult to have such a huge gap between your level and the number two level as Magnus had in today's chess. It's very difficult, and probably it won't happen to anyone because one thing which distinguished Magnus is a unique blend, and his entire generation of that time, but foremost him, is a unique blend of chess which came from the books, from the wooden board, and something that they studied as kids, with the modern perception and all the best patterns they learned with the computer. And this blend provided probably the best recipe for let's say dominating the field. I'm not sure that the players of the upcoming generation, which will grow up, okay, it's not the same patterns, but still largely the same way of preparation. That it's not that it's anyone gonna dominate. I think it would be a character like Magnus is also very sportive, strong psychologically, and so on, should combine with the chess greatness. It's too early to say whether Erdogmus has it or whether Oro has it, but obviously these are going to be very top players, and very soon. 4 years I gave it as a for the three players to be in top 10, but I think already maybe by 2028 at least one of them will be a top 10 player.
Oh. Yeah, this has been quite a amazing conversation. We touched upon many topics, many new insights. Always very interesting to speak, and there are so many other topics to talk about. But I think we should do this again at some point. Talk about maybe the upcoming Olympiad. Talk about the World Championship match that will happen this year, and so many other things. But Emil, thank you for finding time in your busy schedule. You are in Cyprus. I'm pretty sure you have a packed day ahead of you. And I have a world championship here that I will commentate on today. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Sagar, and it was great talking, and hope to see you in Cyprus
Very soon. Thank you.